Good day. I am, as always, very happy to have you here this week. I wonder how you're doing, guys. Have you had a good week? I know sometimes it can be very challenging. So I just want to always just stay in a place of inspiring you, even if we have days and weeks that are just so impossible. Those are there just to show us, when we're busy with the subject of manifestation and you start focusing on manifestation, what happens is you are raising your frequency. And this week, we're going to speak about your frequency. It is very important. Like every other thing I talk about is very important. But to keep it effortless and simple, let's start with talking about your thoughts. Okay, now we know this is all about your thoughts and your feelings, but let's go a little bit deeper in the most simplest of terms. Like I said, I'm not a scientist. I've said this before, but the way I understand what happens in your brain. Okay. So when you think of a thought, when you thinking, which you're doing every day, I mean, before you have a coffee, you think of the coffee you're going to make. Before you eat, you think of the food. So you constantly think of something before you actually do it. And what happens in your brain, your thoughts are energy. So they fire, say you're thinking on one subject, they start to fire together. And the more you think of one subject, it starts to wire together and forms a cluster. Okay. And what makes it a long-term memory is when you bring a feeling and attach it to that cluster of thoughts. So that's why you guys probably know what I'm talking about. When you were a little kid, you only could remember certain things. Like I remember there was a situation where,
Sorry, I couldn't hear
sorry,
what you
my
said.
Siri, a situation where my youngest brother, I mean, he was 2 and I was 3, I think. And we were playing around where they were building at our house. And I remember my elder brother and I actually got him to jump into the puddle of mud. Now, obviously, it just made me laugh so much, and it was such a joyous moment. It was so funny for me. But remember, I was 3 years old, and I did not forget that. It's so amazing, and so it goes on. So when our thoughts, our energy of our thoughts fire together, the energy wire together, and with the feeling becomes an increased long-term memory. And this is basically how it works. Now, how do we change? Because a lot of these things that we formed, these clusters, a way of thinking, are not really born out of abundance or out of love or out of what we are supposed to be living from. So out of rest and peace. So how do we turn that around and start living in abundance and peace and rest? Now, this week I'm going to give you a small little tip of something you can do that is actually great fun. And I'm also going to use an example of a doctor from Hamburg and the experience he had. Okay. Maybe I should start with that story first, just to prove my point. Many years ago, or I'd say about 5 years ago, we had a doctor out of Hamburg. He was healed miraculously. And what happened was he thought, wow, this is amazing. My skin disease went away. Some other issue that he had just went away overnight. And he then went and took the Bible and he got stuck in this verse, always be thankful always. And he thought, interesting, how can you always be thankful? And he got himself a timer and he tested this, and every single half an hour or every half an hour he would just have the timer go off and he would be thanking God for 10 minutes. After 3 days, miracles broke loose, and this guy became so well known here in northern Germany. I mean, we met him a couple of times and he sold us this little timer. And a lot of people that actually followed what he said and did it, just miracles broke out. Now those days, a lot of us, we took the time and did it for a day or two and then just left it because there was no understanding. Now today I can truly say I truly know what was going on, because God's frequency, his high emotions are things like peace, joy, love, He said, think of good things, like I always speak to you guys about. Think of wonderful things, think of extraordinary, wonderful things. Every time you see a word like abundance, excitement, awesome, wonderful, what does it do to you? You feel the feeling of that word. So how do we, like he did, he said he was in thankfulness continuously. So it raises your frequency of your thoughts, that it raises your frequency of how you feel, because you're in the constant place of thankfulness. So what happens in this place? What did I say to you just now? After 3 days, miracles broke out. So today I'm going to give you a little tip. What do I do to then change my frequency if you see yourself falling back to old way of thinking? Now, one thing God showed me is that you can, if I keep it, and if I keep on saying thank you, or put things around me to remind myself what the thoughts of God is like, or what the thoughts of God's are, the higher frequency thoughts, the love, the peace, the joy, etc., etc., etc. Put it everywhere around your house, like a sunshine, like joy, peace, love. Siri is listening to me. Joy, peace, love, abundance. And every time you see those, you just connect with those feelings. I am successful. I can do all the things I need to do. And when you're constantly in this state, and every time you see the words, you make an intentional decision to start taking it seriously. You know what happens? Then it's going to be easier to actually believe for a good outcome, because now you're already operating from that frequency, which is a creative state. It's a place where you can see good things, and maybe only there you'll start figuring out, wow, I'm actually believing this. And then it's easier, because you're on God's frequency, to actually see a wonderful outcome, even in the midst of very bad things. So I hope you're getting my point. Sometimes I just fall over my tongue, or I fall over my tongue. What am I saying? But you guys know what I mean. I'm not going to redo this video. Let's just be transparent, and you know what I'm like then. I don't say things perfectly and in the right order, but you get my point. The proof is in the pudding. I can tell you guys, I live this. It's not that I don't have challenges. I think we all have challenges. But the point is, when you get and you start functioning on this frequency, you create more of that frequency. You create more of these situations in your life. It then starts flowing to you. And that's the whole point. If you're going to stay on that other frequency, which is difficulty and worry, you just create more worry. You create that situations that will line up with worry. It will come in different ways, but you're just creating that. So guys, what do we want? We want to live in that which we're born to live in, and that is to succeed in every single area of our lives, to be abundant in every area of our lives, health, business, emotionally, etc., etc. So I hope it inspires you just to start doing little things and become intentional with this stuff. It is amazing, and I believe your lives do change. Mine has drastically. I mean, I'll give you some more testimonies. I just got such good news again yesterday, and I just want to inspire you to keep on going. Lots of love to you. I love doing these and sharing how wonderful it is to stay in that place of absolute rest and abundance. Goodbye until next time. Goodbye.